Hello everyone, good morning. Can anyone please confirm am I audible or not? Yeah. Okay, then last class where we stopped. Last class. This is our folder, right? Yeah. Last class we discussed about functional component. Okay, how we can pass the data to the functional component, and inside functional component how we can retrieve the data. Okay, that means by using attributes we can pass it. If you see this players.html, say this is my component. To this component, if you want to pass the data, how we can say it is like a component? How we can say this one is like a component? Okay, which is in the element format, starts with capital letter. Simply you can say like it's a component. Okay, in the element format with capital letter, wherever you see, okay, that one we can say like a loading component loading. While loading this component, you are passing like two values. One is like Sachin, another one is like Mumbai. Okay, if it is like an element, how we can pass that data to the element? By using an attributes. So that I'm passing like one of the attribute is like N Sachin, L Mumbai. Attribute is in the form of what? Key value pairs. So these key value pairs go to which component? Players component. Now my players component is like which type of component? The players component is like a function or not, functional component or not. It's a function. Now some data, how it go to one function? How it's go to one function? Okay, if you want to pass some data, if you want to give some data to the function, okay, if you give some data to the function, inside a function, how we can take the data as a argument or parameters or not? So we are giving this data to the function, which data? Key values. Inside the function we can take like an argument or parameter format or not. So the parameter is which type? That is depending upon your data format. My data is in the which format? Key value pairs or not? Multiple key value pairs, how we can represent in JavaScript function? Okay, JavaScript like an object or not? So that this is an object format. My object contains what? A set of key value pairs or not? My object contains a set of key value pairs. Now this is my object. Okay, these are my properties, key value pairs. How we can get this Sachin? How we can get this Sachin? Data dot n. Okay, how we can get this Mumbai? If it's like a object format, how we can get this Mumbai? Data dot l. Data dot l. Got it or not? Okay, this is the way we can pass the data. This is the way we can pass the data to the component. Okay, if the component is like a functional component, this is the way we can retrieve the data or not. Okay, done. So far we discussed about which type of components. So far we discussed about a functional components. In React, how many ways we can create the components? In React, how many ways we can create the component? Why we go for component? Why we go for component? To prepare some content which is visible to the end user. To prepare content, it's a template. You can say template, whatever it is. Okay, so how many ways we can do it? Two ways. Two ways. One is like what? Functional. Functional. How it looks like? It's a simple JavaScript function. Syntactically, it's a simple JavaScript function. The next one is like what? A class component. The next one is like a class component. So how we can create a class? How we can create a class? Okay, now my object oriented concepts are there, right? We are going to discuss. Why we go for class? What is class? Can anyone? Why we go for class? What is class? Okay, why we go for class? Okay, simple. If you want to tell something about a particle, I don't want to use the data. Okay, just I want to tell something about one particle. That's it. For example, one bus is there. Okay, inside the bus there has 6 wheels are there. My bus color is like red. Okay, just it's like a information. That's it. More than that, nothing. Okay, I don't want to retrieve that information. Just it's like an information. I'm providing some information. That's it. Okay, I don't want to use that information. I don't want to take this information. I don't want to use somewhere. Okay, it's simply like, okay, it tells something about one particle. Okay, then just you can create one class. Okay, keep this information inside the class. How we can keep this information means, okay, my class contains a variable, some of the variables, as well as some of the methods based on your requirement. Okay, take your bus only. Okay, how we can create the class in ES6? ES6 below, my function is acting like a class. Okay, leave it. Now ES6, okay, it's an advanced JavaScript. In advanced JavaScript, how you can create the class means my class is the keyword. My class is the keyword. By using that class keyword, we can create the class. So that can I create a class by using class keyword. Okay, I want to tell something about some information about what, which particle. Bus is my particle here, my class bus. I want to tell something about the bus. Okay, how we can, okay, my bus color, simply you can write like red color. How we can store some data, red string, okay, red, how we can store it, one variable or not. So that simply we can write like where my color equals to red, my color equals to red. The next one is like my front wheels equals to 2, my back wheels equals to 4. 4. Okay, total wheels I want. Total wheels. This is the information. Total wheels I want. Then the time you have to find the sum of front wheels and back wheels or not. That means my functionality is like what? Finding the sum of front wheels and back wheels or not. Okay, where you can write the functionality inside a function or not. So that, okay, total wheels. Like, can I write like my front wheels plus back wheels? Front wheels plus back wheels. Okay, now you can get like what, my total wheels can be written, or can we consolidate this total wheels. Okay, how we can we write like this. Okay, this is simply information about my bus. Okay, now I don't want to use, okay, I don't want to get these total wheels, I don't want to get this color red, just it's an information, that's it. Okay, now if you observe this class, it's going to tell something about one particle. Okay, how we can say, how we can tell something about one particle means, see, there has some variables I represented, there has some methods I represent by using these methods and variables. Okay, so now you can define a class is a collection of variables and methods or not. How we can method, how many methods you can write it? Any number of methods you can write it. Any number of methods you can write it. Can anyone tell? Okay, basically we are going to say like it's a function or method, both are like same. But what is the difference between function and a method? My JavaScript is like a function oriented as well as object oriented also. Okay, why? Because if you see here, if you go to the console, go to the console. Okay, here directly I can write one function. Directly I can write one function. Okay, I can execute this function or not. Console.log of f1 call. Okay, here there is nothing is required. I can write one function. Okay, I can call this function. I can get this functionality or not, wherever you want. Wherever you want. But the function, okay, function f1, which is inside a class like this, inside a class like this. Now see, it also seems like what? Okay, parenthesis is there, body is there. It's like a functional syntax only or not, which is inside a class, which is inside a class. Directly we are not able to call this function. How we can call it means by using an object. Okay, these things, okay, which are inside the functionality, we are going to represent by using these functions which are inside a class. Those we are going to call like a methods. Those we are going to call like a methods. My function we can call directly like this. The method we are going to call by using an object. Why? Because that is not directly outside. Okay, that is inside a class. If you want to get the class member data, then the time if you want to access the class members, we can access by using an object only. By using an object only. So in this case, directly my total wheels we are not able to call. Here directly we can call my F1. Okay, which is called directly, that one we can say like a function, which is called by using an object. By using an object, that one we are going to call like a method. That one we are going to call like a method. Okay, so for good. Now we can define my class is what? My class is a collection of variables and methods. If you know this class syntax and everything, my class component is very simple. The same syntax we are going to use. Same syntax we are going to use. So that can we run this one? Is it right? Okay, my class is a collection of variables and methods. I said syntactically is it correct or not? Can we check it? Can I copy this one? Can we go there? Can we run this one? Now if I click on enter, see this. There has one error came. What is that? Unexpected identifier. Unexpected identifier is nothing but what? It's a name. Okay, unexpected identifier is nothing but what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting this name here in this place. I'm not expecting this name. Okay, which one? If you click on this link, okay, now see line number 2 causes an issue or not. Okay, so what is that issue? Syntactically, what's wrong with this code? Okay, let's see this. Inside a class, if you want to create a variables, okay, not like this is not the right place to declare the variable. This is not the right place to declare the variables. For now, just remove that variables. I don't want that variable. Just remove it. Just play with functions. Okay, methods first. This is my class. Yes, this is my class. Okay, now my class contains what? Variables and methods. So that can we write one method here? Look how we can write one method. Okay, syntactically my method is looks like there is no need to write the function syntax. Okay, function keyword. There is no need to write function keyword. Directly you can place inside a class, then the time there is no need to write a function keyword. Okay, here you can write okay something like get color. Okay, get CLR. Can we return my color is red. Okay, now the next one is like get wheels. Okay, just I'm writing like methods only. Okay, after that we can think about the variables. Return 6. Now see, my class contains 2 methods. Okay, can I access these methods directly like this? The methods which are inside the class we are not able to call directly. See this, it gives me an error like what? Okay, these are not defined. So inside the class some of the members are there. How we can call that members? How we can call these members? How we can get the services from this particular class? My class simply can say like a blueprint of your object. It's just representation, that's it. Okay, there has some information is there, that's it. If you want to get the services from this particular class, then what we have to do is you have to create an object for this particular class. So like C onwards the object oriented programming language started, right? C, Java, PHP, or okay .NET or Python, all are like object oriented only. Okay, if you take any class in any technology, okay, my class it simply has some information. If you want to get the services from the class, you have to create an object. The syntax is common for all. What is the syntax means? By using new operator, we are going to create an object for this particular class. Now can I create an object by using new operator? Now see this bus. Okay, my bus is a class. See, my bus is a class. Okay, if you want to get the services from the class, you have to create an object. How we can create an object? My bus, if you call like this, it's not a function, it's a class. If you want to use it, how we can see? My class constructor bus cannot be invoked without new. Okay, here what is the constructor, we'll see later. Now can we write like by using new, can we create an object? Now see this, my object created or not? My object created. Okay, which contains what? my object created for which class? This class. So that here not visible, that methods are not visible, but my object created, right? So that inside this object, how many properties are there? Inside the class, how many members are there? That members all are coming like a properties for this particular JSON object. So how many properties here which contains? Okay, one is like get color, another one is like get wheels or not. One is like get color, another one is like get wheels. Once we have an object, can we store within one variable? Within one variable, see, you access some statement, that statement gives me some result, is nothing but that is the return value. Okay, one function return something is nothing but you can hold with one variable or not. Yes, you can hold it. So my object name is like O. If you want to access the data from this object, how you can access? My object contains some data. How we can access the data? Retrieve the data by using dot notation or by using square bracket notation. So that can be accessed by using dot notation. What is my, see here, what is my name? Okay, function name, a method name, get color. So that can we call this one? Now see, my red, the method which is accessed by using an object. Okay, that one we are going to call like the function, the class member which is accessed by using an object. Okay, that one we can say like what? A method or not. Okay, function directly we can access. Methods we can access by using an object only. Now, can we call another one? O dot, okay, get wheels. Go dot get wheels. What is the type of this O dot get wheels? Can I click on enter? Now see, O dot get wheels is which type? It's a function type or not. If it is a function, if I give to you a function, what you can do with that function? When I can get the result from the function, whenever you call, then only we can get the result or not. So that can we call like this. Now see this, you can get that O dot get wheels or not. So for good, how to create the methods inside a class. How many methods you can create like this? Like this, how many methods you can create? Any number of methods you can create. My class is a collection of variables and methods. So that can we write like this. Now I have a class is there. Arithmetic is my class. Okay. Here I have one function is there. Add is the function. Okay. Here I have one variable is there. Var n1 equals to 10. Okay. The next one is that var n2 equals to 20. Now I want to find the sum. Okay. How we can console.log of n1 plus n2. N1 plus n2. Now this is the class. This is my class. Can anyone tell? I want to get the result like 30. What he can do? What how to do? Okay, can I access my add method directly like this? If I access like this, then the table gives me an error like what? Add is not defined. Why? Because my add inside my class or not. Okay, if you want to access any class member, then the time how we can access? By creating an object, by using an object only or not. So how we can create an object? If you want to create an object for class, okay, how we can create? By using new operators. So we can create like this. Object equals to new arithmetic. At the time of creating an object, internally what happened, I will tell. Okay, just hold. Okay, I created one object. Okay, it's like which type? It's a JSON object. It's a JSON object simply. If it is like a JSON object, how we can retrieve the data? By using O or not, O dot notation. By using O dot notation or square bracket notation, you can use it or not. So how we can write it? O dot add. O dot add. Yes, you can write like this. Now you can get the result like what? I can get the result like 30 or not. I can get the result like 30. Okay, done. Now, how many times you are going to call this add? Okay, what is the result? Always my result is like 30 or not. But I have two numbers. I have two numbers. Okay, one first time I have the two numbers like 10, 20. Next time 100 and 200. Like different numbers are there. Okay, then the time I want different results. Then how we can do it? Okay, how what code change you have to do to find the sum of your numbers? Okay, don't hard code these values. Can I remove this one? Don't hard code these values. Now, for this particular method, can we pass as an arguments also? If it is like a method, yes, we can pass the arguments or not. So here, can we write like n1 comma n2? Okay, do you want me to specify the type here, integer or string like this? Do you want me to specify? Why? Because my JavaScript is not like a type strict. Okay, you can pass any type of data or not. Okay, now can you come here? Now can we call like this? If I call like this, what is my answer? Can anyone tell? If I call like this, what is my result? Each and every function in JavaScript also can acting like a class. Can acting like a class. That is like a functional classes. Okay, here it will throws an error or it's going to execute. It will throws an error. Will it throws an error or will it execute? Okay, here you didn't pass anything. Is nothing but what is my n1 value? Undefined. What is my n2 value? Undefined. Undefined plus undefined is like a not a number or not. There is no error. Nothing. Here the result is like what? N A N. Not a number. Not a number. If you want to pass the data, yes, you can pass it. Okay, one is like 10 comma 20. You can pass like this. Okay, the next one is like o dot add of 100 comma 200. No problem at all. It's going to work or not. How can I copy this one? Can I paste here? Can we run it? Okay, syntactically it's wrong. What's wrong with this code? Unexpected token. Okay, class arithmetic. It's not a function, right? It's not a function, right? A class. This is the one or not? Okay, now can I click on this one? Now see 10, 20, 100 and 200. Like this, you can pass it. Understand or not? Okay, now my requirement is I don't want to pass the values like this. I don't want to pass the values. Okay, this one is not. Okay, this is one way. Okay, this one is not taking any arguments. Is there any other way? Is there? Okay, to find the sum of my numbers. Is there any other way? Is there to find the sum of my numbers? Okay, here my n1 equals to 10, my n2 equals to 20. Okay, if I read like this, n1 is not defined. Okay, where is that n1? Okay, here, right? Where n1, where n2. Now see 10, 30, 30. How many times you are going to call my add? 30 only. Okay, one way you said like pass arguments to my add. Okay, that is completed. Already we get that result as we expected. Is there any other way? Is there? Is there any other way? Is there to find the sum of my numbers? Can anyone? Okay, yes. Okay, what is the next way? Okay, what is the next syntax means at the time of creating an object for this particular class also, at the time of creating an object for this particular class also, we can pass some data. We can pass some data. Okay, see here, new arithmetic. It looks like what? It's also function call only, right? It's also function call only, right? See, arithmetic with the parentheses is nothing but what? It's like a function only. That means you are calling one of the function. Which function, if you find for that function, can we pass the data? For that function, can we pass the data? Okay, if you find that function, if you pass the data to the function, inside the function, can we hold the data? Can we hold the data? Which function is going to trigger at the time of creating an object? Okay, new is an operator. Here you are calling with your class name or not. You are calling is nothing but what one function should execute or not. Okay, what is that function? Which function is going to execute? If you know, then the time can we go ahead with the next level? Okay, can we pass the data to the function and everything? Now, which function is going to execute at the time of creating an object means inside this class, my constructor function is going to execute at the time of creating an object or not. Okay, any programming language you take, any object oriented language you can take. Okay, at the time of creating an object, okay, which function is going to trigger? My constructor will trigger or not? My constructor will trigger. Okay, what is the use of this constructor? We'll see later. What is the use of this constructor? We'll see later. Okay, so that how we can write syntactically, how we can write the constructor inside the class? That is the question. Can anyone tell how we can write the constructor? Okay, very simple thing. Let's try it. Can we create one class now? My class, okay, C1. Okay, my class otherwise. my class. This is my class, right? Okay, inside the class, I want to write my constructor. So if you take like Java or .NET, okay, how my constructor looks like means my constructor is like a same as my class name or not. Same as like a class name. It's like a in Java, okay, in .NET. Okay, this is the syntax. This is the syntax. But in your JavaScript, okay, there has a separate keyword is there. Constructor is the keyword. Okay, there has a separate keyword is there. That one is going to acting like your constructor. That one itself acting like a constructor. So that yes, in Java.NET this is the correct syntax. But in your JavaScript, okay, my constructor, how, which one is going to acting, which method is going to acting like a constructor means my constructor keyword itself, okay, acting like a constructor. So that can we write that one structor, okay, this one is acting like a constructor. Is it really acting like a constructor? How you want me to check? Can anyone tell? Then my constructor is going to execute it whenever my object created for this particular class, then my constructor has to execute or not. So can we write one console message here? Console dot log of, okay, my constructor executed. Okay, now can I click on enter? Okay, now can we create an object for this particular class? How we can create new my class? If you click on this one, see this, my constructor executed or not? My constructor executed and returns what? And returns one object or not? And returns what? One object. Why? Because you are calling my constructor with a new operator, then the thing is going to returns what? One object or not? Okay, this is only the proof, right? At the time of creating an object for this particular class, my constructor is going to execute or not. So for good, okay, done. The next one, okay, my object created. Okay, I want that object now inside my class, so I want to use that object. Can I use it? Okay, you created an object. Okay, here you are using, this is my object. Okay, that is an external out of your class. This is my object out of your class. See, this is my object where o equals to out of your class. This is my object. Okay, see, o is my object. Inside my class, how we can represent this object? Inside my class, how we can represent this object? My constructor name can be given? No. Okay, my constructor is the predefined keyword. You should not change anything. Okay, here how we can represent the object? Okay, this is the object outside. Okay, inside this class I want to represent this object. How we can represent means by using this keyword. My this always represents my current class object or not. So is it really this is going to work? Is it really, can we hold my current object by using this or not? Can we check it? Okay, how we can check? Okay, generally my this is pointing to what? Generally in JavaScript my this is pointing to what? Okay, my this is the super object. If you write outside, my this is pointing to window or not? My window, myself, all are pointing to, okay, my this is pointing to window, my window itself, window, it's a super object or not? Now inside the class my this is pointing to what? I want to check it. This is my class, right? Okay, can we put the debugger here? Okay, how we can put the debugger by using this keyword? Debugger is the keyword. Debugger is the keyword. Now can we create an object for this particular class? How we can create an object? Where o equals to new my class. Okay, this o is represents an object out of your class. Inside the class I want to check it. Now if I click on enter, see, you are in the third line. You are in the debugging mode or not? You are in the debugging mode. Now can we come to the console? Can we check my current object? This is pointing to what? Okay, can we check my o? Okay, my o is an object or not? See, o is undefined. Why? Because my constructor not yet completed. Okay, now my this is pointing to what? My class or not? Once my constructor execution is completed, can we see my o? Can we see my o? My o and my this both are same or not? See, my this also pointing to what? My current class object. Okay, my o is pointing to what? My current class object only or not? My current class object only or not? So for good, inside the class, if you want to represent your object, how we can represent this object? By using this keyword or not? Okay, outside that one, who is going to create an object by using new operator? That guy is going to get that object you can hold with one variable. That is your wish. But inside the class, how we can get an object? By using this keyword or not. Okay, perfect. Now functions is okay, that means methods are okay. Inside the class you can write any number of methods. You can call it. Okay, right, let's write some of the methods. F1. Okay, F1 call, console.log of F1 call. Okay, the next one, okay, F2 console.log of F2 call. Okay, my requirement is very simple here. This is my class, right? My class contains what? My class contains three methods. Okay, F1 F2 constructor, F1 F2 constructor. Okay, F1 F2 is like my own methods. My construct is like what? It's a predefined one or not. When my construct is going to execute, at the time of creating an object, my requirement is like at the time of creating an object, I want the output like F1 called, F2 called. That's it. That's my output. Can anyone tell how we can? At the time of creating an object, my output should be what? Inside the console, constructor executed, F1 called, F2 called, like this I want. At the time of creating an object one. Okay, so can we create an object? New my class. New my class. If I click on this one, spelling mistake, right? What is my class? CLS. New my class. At the time of creating an object, my constructor executed. Okay, on executed, this text printed. But my requirement is F1 called and F2 called also I want to print. Then how we can? At the time of creating an object only. So this F1 console message if you want to print, F2 console message if you want to print, my F1 has to call and my F2 has to call or not. Okay, so can we do one thing? At the time of creating an object only, he said, right? Can we call these two functions inside my constructor? Can we call these two functions inside my constructor? Can anyone tell? Inside the class, if you want to call one member, how we can call it? Inside the class, if you want to call one member, is it possible to call directly? Any class member, if you want to access, what you needed? Object is required or not? Okay, now it is like outside you can write like o.f1, but inside how we can represent your object by using this or not. So if you want to call any class member, okay, how we can access that class member? By using this or not. So when my this is available in your class, in which part my this is available? First time here, the line numbers, okay, here to here, multiple lines of code is there, right? Here multiple statements are there. In which line number my current object is available? Where my current object is available exactly at the time of creating an object? My current object is available here inside the constructor only or not? At the time of creating an object, my current object is first available where? Inside the constructor only or not? Yes or no? So that at the time of creating an object, if you want to perform any operations with this, then the time which place is the right place? At the time of creating an object, if you want to perform any operations with this, then the time which place is the right place? My constructor only the right place or not? Why? Because my this exactly available inside the constructor only at the time of creating an object. Okay, I'm not sure about remaining methods when my this is available, but confidently I can say my this is available inside the constructor at the time of creating an object. Okay, if there is no object created, then the time there is no use of the class. If you want to use the class, okay, object should create or not. So this is only the place my current object available or not. So once my object is available, yes, we can do this. Can we call like this? Okay, can we call like this? Okay, now can we create an object? Yes. Like this we can access what? Like this we can access your class members inside the class or not. So for good. Okay, then the next one. Now come here. come here. Okay, this one you can remove. This one you can remove. Here you can write like add. You can write like subtraction. Class name, no. If you use like this class name like here, syntactically there is no issues. It is treating like one more method. It's treat like a user defined method like f1, f2. It's not acting like a constructor, not like Java. Okay, here I want to find the sum of two numbers. The two numbers I want from outside. Okay, here there is no arguments, nothing. Here also I want to find the sum of two numbers. Those two arguments also, okay, not pass from here, not pass from here. Okay, here also I want to write it. Okay, those two numbers. Can anyone tell how we can do it? Okay, perfect, right. Okay, here there is no option to call. If I didn't give option to call the add and subtraction, then the time, how we can call it? Yeah, this is the one. Okay, my class looks like this. At the time of creating an object only, I have two numbers. The two numbers, sum and subtraction I want. At the time of creating an object only, that's it. Can anyone? At the time of creating an object only, I have two numbers. Okay, the two number sum I want to find. Okay, then how we can, at the time of creating an object only, I said, right? Okay, so that, okay, how we can create an object like this? You can create an object new my class like this. You can create an object or not. At the time of creating an object, okay, this is the syntax. So you are calling one function here, one method you are calling. Okay, so this calling, okay, this call is represent to which function, which method here? This call represents to which method? My constructor or not? So that this call is belongs to this constructor is nothing but while calling this one, can we pass the data? Okay, how we can pass the data? 10, 20. Now you are calling which function? My constructor, by passing how many arguments? Two arguments or not? By passing two arguments. What are those? One is like x, another one is like y. Now, can we pass this x and y to this guy? That is one option. Okay, how we can pass it? X comma y. Okay, here also x comma y. Can I pass it or not? X comma y. Now see here, my add calling with what? How many arguments? Two arguments. So that here my n1 comma n2. Can we find the sum of two numbers like n1 plus n2? Okay, here my subtraction, here also two arguments is passing n1 comma n2. Now my console.log of what? n1 minus n2. Then the time syntactically any problem with this code. Then call one function with some arguments, no problem at all, right? Now if I click on this one, my answer is like what? 30 and 10. This is my expected answer or not? But I want to do slight change here. What is that change, you know? Okay, as I said in the past, I don't want any arguments here. Okay, I don't want to put any arguments here. Okay, then that time, okay, at the time of passing the data to this particular constructor, to this particular class while creating an object, okay, if this method is not taking any data, any arguments, then that time how I can share this data to my add function, to my subtraction function? That's my question. Okay, now where is my data? X comma y, this is my data. This data you have to share it or not. Okay, so how we can share it? Global variable. Okay, how we can write the global variable here? How we can write the global variable? Can anyone? How we can write the global variable? Okay, write it here. Can I write like one global variable? n1 equals to 0. Okay, now n2 equals to 0. Okay, you said like global variable at class level. Okay, now once you declare like this, syntactically it's correct or not, I want to check it. Okay, syntactically it's correct or not, I want to check it. We'll check later. Now this is my n1 and n2. Once you create an object, can we do one thing? Can we assign these values? n1 equals to x, n1 equals to x. The next one is like what? n2 equals to y. Can we add like this? Yes or no? At the time of creating an object, then the time my constructor is going to execute, I'm going to assign these values to my n1 and n2. Now my n1, n2 is going to work or not. Now, and I click on enter. Now see here, uncaught reference error, n1 is not defined. Uncaught reference error, n1 is not defined. Okay, what it means? Okay, here my n1 is not able to find. So syntactically, can we do one thing? Okay, here can we write something like this? You said, okay. In the past also I written like this all, like this one. If I click on enter, then the can see unexpected identifier. Unexpected identifier. Syntactically, it's wrong or not? Yes or no? Here, unexpected identifier. Understand or not? Okay, so that how I can share, is there any other way? Is there? Is there any other way? Is there? My class is a collection of what? Variables and methods, I said. So that how we can create a variable now, can we go with that? How we can create a variable? Okay, so how we can create one class variable means, okay, by using this, by using current object only, we can create one variable. By using current object only, we can create one variable in your class. If you want to create one class variable, that variable should inside my current object, should inside my current object. So that, what is my current object here? Can anyone guess what is my current object? My, this is my current object or not? So how we can insert some data inside my object? By using dot notation, n1. Which value you want me to keep? Yes. Okay, here also this dot n2 equals to what? Y. Okay, now inside this class, how many variables are there? There has two variables are there. There has two variables are there. Now, how we can retrieve the data? Where is my data? My data is inside my current object, right? So if you want to retrieve the data, from where you want me to retrieve the data? From my current object only or not? So that I can write like this. Okay, this dot n1 and this dot n2 or not, this dot n2 or not. Now if I click on enter, now say this, my output is ready or not. Now see, my object contains what? How many variables? My object contains two variables and two methods or not. Okay, two methods physically not available, but we can call it, so how we can call it? Once you have an object, okay, this is my object, this is my object, where o equals to this one. See, this is my object. Okay, you can create, you can call one of the method, which method you want, you can call it or not. Okay, come here again, you can run. This is my class, this is my class. Now I want to hold my object with one variable. Yes, you can hold it. Now my o contains what? These many members or not? How many variables? Two variables and two methods. So how we can call, how we can get, how we can retrieve the data from this object? By using dot notation n1, by using square bracket notation. Okay, by using dot notation, by using square bracket notation, you can get it or not? O dot get, you can get this one. O dot sub, you can get it or not? You can get it or not? Here, okay, how we can create a variable, how we can create a method inside the class. If you want to create a variable, okay, that variable should be inside where? My current object. When my current object is available, okay, inside the constructor only my current object is available or not? First, okay, at the time of creating an object only, you can say like, yes, my object is created, okay, so that my this is available. Confidently you can say in which place? Inside the constructor only or not? So that always my constructor is the right place to keep something, okay, to perform some operation on my current object, this or not. So that if you want to keep some variables, how we can keep it? Okay, by using dot notation, by using square bracket notation. If you know the object reference, yes, we can insert the data or not. Okay, write one variable, one class now. Now come here, my class. Yeah, this is my class. Inside the class, I want two variables. Okay, how to insert the two variables? Okay, here you can write like, one is like this, dot n1 equals to 10 and this dot n2 equals to 20. This is the way you are going to create objects. And then my add, okay, here you can write like what? Console.log of this dot n1, this dot n1 plus this dot n2. Done. My class is a collection of variables and methods or not. Okay, writing the class is nothing but what? There is no use of that. Okay, you created one class is nothing but there is no use. There is no use. Okay, if you want to get the services from the class, okay, how you can get the services? By creating an object only we can get the services from the class or not. So how we can create an object for this particular class? Where o equals to new add. Now this is my object creation, right? Okay, at the time of creating an object, which method is going to execute? My constructor will execute, right? What my constructor is going to do? At the time of creating an object, my constructor will execute. What my constructor is going to do means very simple thing. Okay, now when I open my page, now I have one class is there. You created one object. Okay, by using what? New operator. New operator, if you create one object, is nothing but it is going to allocate some space for this particular class. Okay, now here one object you created like this, where o equals to new add, new add. Okay, at the time of executing this statement, okay, which pod is going to execute inside the class? My constructor will execute or not. Okay, new operator is going to allocate the space for this particular class. Now my constructor is going to execute. What my constructor is going to do, whatever the variables are there, whatever the variables are there, it is going to allocate the memory for that particular variables. It is going to allocate the memory for this particular variables and perform initialization. Whatever the data is that, the data is going to initialize. Now my constructor work is that one. My constructor is going to execute it. It is going to allocate the memory. Already my new operator allocate the memory for this particular class to execute the variables and the methods and everything. Okay. Now it is going to, my constructor duty is what? It's going to allocate the memory for the variables. How many variables are there? 2 variables are there. So that my first variable is going to allocate some memory. Allocate some memory. Okay, and it's going to give the reference for this particular space. What is the reference? Whatever the variable name is there, that identifier it's going to give, so that my n1 is pointing to this particular space, and it's going to perform initialization. What is my value? You assign n1, okay, 10. So it's going to perform initialization also. This is the thing. It's done by whom? Constructor. Okay, it's going to allocate the memory for your variables, and it's going to perform initialization or not. Once it is allocating the memory and initialization also happened, now if you want to get this 10 or 20 in your class, then the time just you are going to pointing to this particular memory, right? If you want 10, my 10 is available inside the memory, that is pointing to my n1, so that this n1 you can use wherever you want. Where is my n1? Inside this object only or not? This total space is pointing to what? My this. Okay, now if you want this 10, then you have to call what? My this dot n1. Okay, if you want to call n2 you can call it. n2 you can call it. This is the thing. This is done by whom? My constructor or not? It is going to allocate the memory for these particular variables by, okay, to perform initialization. That's it. That is the duty of my constructor. If you understand or not? What is class and what is an object? My class is a collection of variables and methods. My class is a collection of variables and methods. Okay, writing the class is nothing but it's some information you have. That's it. If you want to get that information result, okay, if you want to get some results from this particular class, then you should have to create an object for this particular class. Once you have an object, you can access any one of the member in this particular class by using dot notation or by using square bracket notation. That's it. Okay, now the thing is, this is my class. This is my class. Okay, I created one object also. Okay, if I write like o dot n1, what is my answer? 10. O dot m3, what is my answer? O dot m3, what is my answer? O dot m3. Is my m3 is there inside the object? Is m3 is there? M3 is not there. If not there, then the time inside my object one property is not there. What is the default value? Undefined or not? So that my o dot m3 is like undefined or not. My o dot add is which type? Inside my object add is there. My o dot add is which type? O dot add is which type? If you don't know, click on enter. Click on enter. My O dot add is which type? Click on enter. My O dot add is like a function type or not? Function type or not? Now, if it is like a function, okay, by using an object you calling is nothing but it's a method. So what you can do with that? Can we call like this? Then that we can get the 30 or not. Now my O dot sub, why it gives me the result like this? Can anyone tell why it gives me like this error? Why it gives me this type of error? Already we discussed it in the methods. Functional concept, okay, we already discussed. Why this error came? Why this error came? Okay, simple. Why is there or not there? Why is there or not there? Why is there or not there? Yes, why is there? With how many members? Okay, with how many properties? One, two, three properties. With three properties. Y is there with the three properties. Within the three properties, my sub is there or not there? Within the three properties, my sub is there or not there? Not there. O dot sub is what is the value? O dot sub, one property is not there, is nothing but what is the value? Undefined. Okay, see, up to here, it's like undefined or not. So it is like this, undefined, you are calling. Is it possible to call undefined? What you can call? What you can call? You can call only a function or not. Is my undefined is a function? No, right? My undefined is nothing but what? O dot sub only or not? So that it gives me error like what? O dot sub is not a function. O dot sub is not a function. Super good. What is this error? Okay, now onwards, if you see this error, okay, while calling one of the member, okay, if you get this error, then the time you can understand like what? Okay, my function is not there inside that class. Then the time what you have to do? You have to declare that function or something or not. In future, we'll see that. Okay, done. The next one. In your application, only one class you have to write, or any number of classes you can write it? Any number of classes you can write it or not. Okay, right, one class. My class one. This is my class. Inside the class, I want to create one variable. How you can create the variable? Which place is the right place to create the variable inside the class? Which place is the right place to create a variable inside the class? Class variable, which place is the right place? Okay, you can write inside the constructor. Inside the constructor. Okay, okay. What is the syntax to create a variable? Okay, my class member, class variable. What is the syntax? By using this or not? My this dot n1 equals to yeah. This is my first class. I have one more class also there. Class 2. Inside this class also, I have the constructor. Okay, here I have one more variable is there. n2 equals to 20. Inside my second class, I have one class also, one method also there. Okay, here I'm going to write like console.log of this dot n1 plus this dot n2. Done. Total how many classes are there? Total how many classes are there? Two classes are there. Okay, two classes are there. Class is like a functional variable. It's not like a class number. Class. Okay, where it's like a functional scope variable. Now this is my first class. This is my second class. Okay, inside the function only we can use like where. Okay, this is the first class and this one is like a second class. Okay, now if I call my add, can anyone tell me what is the result? If I call my, first of all, tell me how I can call this add. How I can call this add? My add is a out of my class or inside the class. My add is like out of my class or inside the class. My add is inside the class or not? Inside the class. If it is like inside the class, how we can call that class member? By creating an object. So that can we create an object where y equals to new 2. Done. I created one object. Okay, once I create an object, okay. Once I create an object, can we call my add? Yes, we can call it. My add is there. If it is there, then the time I can call it or not. Can anyone tell what is my result? What is my result? What is my result? Yes. Okay. O dot add. So this method is going to trigger this is my object. My object contains how many members? How many members my object contains? One is like n2, another one is like add. Two members are there or not? Is my this dot n1 member is there or not there? N1 member is not there. Okay, inside the object one member is not there, one property is not there. What is the default value? Undefined or not? Undefined plus 20 is like not a number or not. But my n1 is inside one more class. Which class? That is inside my n1 class. Okay, my n2 is not having n1, so that you can get the result like a not a number. But n1 is there, but where? Not inside my 2. Okay, inside my second class, that is inside my first class or not. So that can we get the properties from first class to second class? Can we get the properties? Can we get some properties from outside class? Can we do it or not? Okay, we can get some properties. It's a class members, it's a variable or method. Yes, we can get from one class to another class or not by using what? By using inheritance or not? By using inheritance. Yes or no? By using inheritance, yes, we can get the properties from one class to another class. So how we can write it? Who want to take the properties first? Tell me. Who want to take the properties from where? My second class. This class want to take the properties from first class or not? So that which class wants to take the properties? That class has to inherit the properties from one class or not? Inheritance we can do by using extends is the keyword. Okay, from one class. Here, who take the properties from outside that class? We can say like a child class, okay, or subclass or derived class. Okay, who provide the properties to another person? That guy is going to call like a parent class. Okay, it's a super class. Super class. Okay, now if I click on enter, done. Now can we create an object for y equals to new 2, y equals to new 2? Then that time, see here, there has some error there. Error came. Why this error came? What's wrong with this code? What's wrong with this code? Okay, if I write like this, okay, already my a class is there. A class is one class is there. How my one class is looks like? My class 1 is like this. Okay, my constructor, this n1 equals to something like this. This n1 equals to what? N1 equals to 10. This class inherited into this class. Okay, so that whatever the properties inside my one class, that is inherited into my two class or not. So which property is inherited? My this dot n1 property is inherited or not? Now, if I create an object for this particular second class, if I call my add, what is the result? Your expected result is what? This dot n1 is not a my own member, but inherited member or not? Inherited into my two class or not? So that my this dot n1 is like 10, my this dot n2 is like 20, my result should be what? 30 or not? But it gives me an error. But it gives me an error. What's wrong with this code? Why it gives me an error? Means very simple thing. See, this is my class, right? The first class is this one. Okay, now you created an object for which class? Line number 19, tell me. You created an object for which class? Second class. You create an object for the second class, so that one object is created for which class? Second class. At the time of executing this particular piece of code, which method is going to execute in the second class? Which method is going to execute? My constructor will execute or not? Okay, you create an object for the second class is nothing but my second class constructor is going to execute. What is my constructor duty? What my constructor is going to do? Inside my second class, how many variables are there? For all the variables, he is going to allocate the memory and perform initialization or not. Inside my second class, how many variables are there? Inside the constructor, how many variables are there? One variable is there, so that he is going to allocate the memory for this particular variable or not. Allocate the memory for this particular variable or not. What is my variable name? Okay, the value is like 20. My variable is like n2 or not. N2 or not. Done. Okay, that is only the code, right? After that, if you call my o.add, then the time, yes, my variable is inherited, but from where it's stored, okay, in a certain space is nothing but some address. You have to pointing to this particular data, you have to point it to some space, right? In that space only my data is there, I can take the data. But here you are not allocate, you didn't allocate any space for this particular n1 member, right? Okay, it is just inherited into two class, but there is no space, nothing is allocated. The space is not there inside my current object this, then the time how again my this dot n1 is like what, again it's like undefined, again it's like undefined, it's not giving like a expected result or not. So how I can allocate the memory for this particular n1 variable, how I can allocate the memory, how I can allocate the memory here. This object is pointing to what, my this object is pointing to my current object this or not. Okay, this is my current object this dot n2 is there, but this dot n1 is there or not there, not there. Okay, now tell me how I can allocate the memory for this particular variable. If you want to allocate the memory, who can allocate? Constructor. When my constructor is going to execute, simple, when my constructor is going to execute, my constructor will execute at the time of creating an object for this particular one class or not. Yes, we can create an object where my o2 equals to new one. My new operator you used is nothing but it is going to allocate a new space or not, it is going to allocate a new space. Okay, here what is this one, where my o2 equals to new one or not. Now which constructor is going to execute? One constructor is going to execute. What my one constructor is going to do? It is going to allocate the memory for what? This dot n1. Okay, it's going to allocate the memory for this n1. Okay, it's going to allocate the memory for what? N1. Inside what he is going to place? He is going to place the value like 10 or not. 10 or not. Okay, this is my n1. Okay, now this is the current object. Now tell me, you are calling which method? You are calling which method? O dot add. Okay, my add is inside which class? My add is inside which class? My two class or not? So that you can call this method by using two class object only or not. My two class object is what? O. Okay, so that I'm calling like o dot add. My o dot add, my this is pointing to which object? My second class object or not. Inside my second class object, my n1 is there. Where is my n1? My n1 is my one class object. Okay, that is nothing but another current object is created or not, another object created, another space is created or not. But inside this particular two class object, okay, two class allocate some memory, right? Inside that memory, my n1 is not there. Okay, yes, my n1 initialized, but where? Out of your this object or not, out of this object or not. So my this is pointing to this space only. Okay, second class object only. Inside this object n1 is not there. Then the time, okay, how we can, inside my current object second class object my n1 is there or not there? Inside my second class object n1 is not there. So that, okay, what is that answer? It's like undefined only or not. The thing is, my requirement is this constructor has to execute to allocate the memory for this particular one, but should not create one more space. Okay, should not create one more space like this. If you create a space like this and allocate the memory, I am not able to take it. Okay, my allocation should be happened in this particular memory only. Okay, then how I can call the constructor, okay, without creating an object by using new operator? Then how I can, okay, can we call this superclass constructor? Okay, how many ways we can call the constructor? Means one is this way, okay, by using new one. Then the time it is going to create a new space. I don't want like that. If it is like new space, I'm not able to point into that space. Okay, I want to call this constructor without creating a new space. Then how we can, means very simple thing. Now this one don't do it. My one is the superclass for my two, right? So that can we call the method of, okay, my constructor of my superclass by using super method. Okay, now see, if I create an object for this particular second class, yes, okay, some space created. Okay, now my constructor executed. It calls what? Super method. Is nothing but super class constructor is going to execute. It's not create a new space. In that space only, it's going to allocate the memory for what now? It's going to allocate the memory for my n1 or not. So that it is like 10. Okay, it's pointing to what? N1 or not. Okay, and then once my superclass constructor is executed, then the time as usual it comes to this place. It is going to allocate the memory for n2. Now both are where inside my second class object space only or not. Done. That is only this is the one. See, must call super constructor in derived class before accessing this or returning from the derived constructor or not. You should have to call. Okay, superclass constructor. If you is like a if you are using like a constructor here, if you define the constructor, so that can we call my super. Okay, now can we create an object for this particular one? New 2. Okay, now see here, my n1 and 2 both are there or not. N1 is coming from where? My superclass constructor. Superclass is nothing but 1 or not. Now, if I call my add, my answer is like 30 or not. That is the use of super. Got it or not? If you want to call the constructor of your superclass, okay, without allocating the memory, without allocating the new space for that particular object. So how we can means by using super keyword. Parentless constructor, if you want to call, yes, you can call it by using super. Got it or not? Okay. Yes, inside this one you can create. Inside this one you can create, no problem at all. Okay. It's a variable, right? Okay, which is a variable where n equals to 100. We can create. It's a local variable to my constructor. Syntax is value. Okay, any other questions? Okay, just recap all these things. Tomorrow we are going to start with a class component. That is an important one. Okay, if you know all these things, my class component is very simple thing. Okay. Okay then. Thanks guys. Thanks for joining.